Hello, welcome to the channel, and I'm Molly here. Well, what have we got? We've got 2 weeks to go until the Future Past tour kicks off. I've got my tickets, I hope you've got your tickets too. Drop a comment, let us know if you're going. And yeah, we need to have a talk about the Future Past tour because we've got 2 weeks to go. We need to discuss set lists and what Maiden are going to do, because I really can't call it. I'm really struggling with this one. I'm going to quickly break down what we're going to do in this video. We're going to break the set list down into 3 separate stages, and towards the end I'll give you my prediction stroke fantasy set list for the tour. So first, let's kick off. It's the Future Past tour. The promotion video suggested we were going to get 5 songs from Senjutsu and 5 songs from the Somewhere in Time album. Whether it's going to be 5 from each, I'm not 100% sure. I've looked at the songs on both the albums and I find it difficult to see how they're going to squeeze 5 from each into the tour. Just flow wise, just the way to make it gel, and it's not going to leave an awful lot for other songs from their discography. I know they're trying to focus on those 2 albums, but yeah, so it's going to be interesting for me. It could go one or 2 ways. Either they're going to honour that and do the 5 from each. If they can make it at work, great. Let's start with the tour opener song. So the set opener. It needs to be punchy. I wonder whether they're going to start with Caught Somewhere in Time, like they did in the '86 tour and on the Somewhere in Time tour. However, it is called the Future Past tour. Part of me thinks they're gonna start with a Senjutsu song, and I think it may be Days of Future Past. And the only way I think they could do that is if they did that song first and then went straight into Caught Somewhere in Time maybe as the second track, because Caught Somewhere in Time is such a huge, it's not epic in terms of length, but it's such an epic, just such a massive track. I can't see where that slips into the mid-section of the set. So personally, I would go with, I'd be happy to see Caught Somewhere in Time launch the set and then follow that up with Days of Future Past, because Days of Future Past is punchy. It is as close to a rocker as you're going to get on the Senjutsu album, other than Stratego. But I don't think they're going to kick off the Stratego necessarily. Could do. Yeah, I don't see many other options in the Somewhere in Time album. I suppose there's a few other songs you could launch off with, but I think it's got to be Caught Somewhere in Time or Days of Future Past to kick off the set. And you could interchange those as to whether they're first or second. Okay, so I think the start of the tour, it's going to, obviously, they're going to fit quite a few of these songs in. They're going to have to focus quite heavily on the 2 albums. I think you've got either Days of Future Past or Caught Somewhere in Time first and second. Follow that up with Wasted Years, would transition lovely after that song into Wasted Years, followed by Stranger in a Strange Land. You know, you've got the punchiness of Wasted Years. It's a crowd pleaser as well. It really gets it rocking off. Everyone wants to hear Stranger in a Strange Land as well. It's like one of the ones really want to be heard. So let's talk the Somewhere in Time album. If we was to get sort of 4 or 5 songs from that, personally, I think Caught Somewhere in Time has got to feature. The only question mark for me is that even back in '86, Bruce had a bit of a struggle singing this one on the recordings that we've seen. Not that there's many out there, but on a couple of the bootleg recordings, he did have a bit of a time with it. However, they did have a huge tour schedule. Obviously, they've eased off on that a little bit, although it's still pretty heavy, their tour schedule. So yeah, that's my main question mark with Caught Somewhere in Time. I feel like he'll manage it. some, I think if they can do it, then great. It'd just be immense to hear that song. Wasted Years has been played on a hell of a lot of tours, especially since the 2000s. I think it got played on the Somewhere Back in Time tour and possibly Book of Souls. Yes, definitely on the Book of Souls as well tour. So it's been played a lot, but it's such a huge song for them. I can't see them not playing that. So I fancy that to be in there. Heaven Can Wait. We all know that's a huge crowd participation song. Again, it's been featured quite heavily throughout the years. So I think that's going to feature because it's a tried and tested and it works well. So that's 3. I also think, well, there's been all the hints. Bruce Dickinson's been dropping hints left, right, and centre about playing Alexander the Great at some point in the future. And if it's not on this tour, then when's it going to be? So that's a biggie. That's a biggie. It's not everyone's favourite epic track from Iron Maiden, but I think it's one of those that we all want to hear before we die. We all want to hear that song played live. So that's 4. And I've always had a massive soft spot for Sea of Madness. Sea of Madness is just extreme. One of their heaviest tracks in a way. It's really got a lot going on. The only thing that makes me question whether they will play that is apparently it got dropped from the original tour back in '86. They only played it once or twice maybe, and then it got dropped. So maybe the crowd didn't respond to it well, or maybe there was other issues. But I would love to hear that song. It could be because of the harmonies. There's a lot of harmonies in that song. It might not make it a viable option for them to play it live. Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner. For me, it's not one of their better songs. I mean, musically, it's great. I love it, but it's just the lyrics I'm not so keen on. So that's not one of my favourites. My 5 or 6 picks from Somewhere in Time are Caught Somewhere in Time, Wasted Years, Heaven Can Wait, Stranger in a Strange Land, Sea of Madness, and Alexander the Great. That's what I want to see. And if not Sea of Madness, then Deja Vu. From Senjutsu, you've got the title track. Now that's been played a lot on the second leg of the Legacy of the Beast tour. I don't think it's going to open this tour. And I don't see where it fits in the set midway through, if I'm honest. So I think they're going to drop that one. Stratego, they may keep. It's upbeat. It's short, one of their shorter songs. The Writing on the Wall, I wouldn't mind if they dropped it, if I'm honest. I've seen lots of live performances of it. I personally think so. At the moment we've got Days of Future Past is obviously going to feature because that's the name of the tour. I think Death of the Celts is a nailed on one. It's got the Scottish influence of Steve Harris in it, and I think there's enough about it that keeps the audience engaged. It doesn't take a long time to get the song to get going, and it's fairly constant throughout. The Time Machine, I think that will feature. Fits in with the time theme, and again, it's another song which is not too long, not too short, and it's got plenty going on in it. I like that one as well, so I'd like to see that one played. Then I'd be happy if Darkest Hour featured. I'd be happy with that. I like that song. It's a bit of a slow burner, might kill the mood, but it is an impressive song. The only other options, realistically, is you've got the Parchment or Hell on Earth. Now the Parchment's got such a long intro, I can't see that being played live. It's just too long. I think there's too long sections in that song where there's not a lot going on, and the vocal melodies are quite repetitive as well. Not a terrible song, but I don't. For me, it's not actually my favourite epic on the album. So I wouldn't mind not seeing that one there. Hell on Earth. I mean, if they can fit that in somewhere, that would be epic. That'd be massive. But for me, I think we've already had 3 on the final leg of the Legacy of the Beast tour, and I think we're going to get another 3 on this tour. which will be the Days of Future Past, the Time Machine, and Death of the Adults. I'll let you know where all these slot in a minute. All right. Final thing we've got to think of is what are the rest of the songs. They've obviously taken a lot already from the Peace of Mind albums. They've taken a lot or some from the Power Slave albums already, and they Power Slave album featured heavily on the Somewhere Back in Time tour. Right. And obviously in more recent history, you've had the Klansman, Wicker Man feature quite a bit in terms of like the mid-set anomalies, you could say, you know, that they slip in. 2 Minutes to Midnight, that gets featured a lot. For me, 2 songs work really well in this mid-set section. You know, normally they have 3 or 4 songs, and then around about the 5, 6, 7 song mark, that's when they throw in some of these other songs from their discography. Like, you know, in the past it's been Revelations, it's been the Flight of Icarus in there, the Klansman, the Wicker Man's featured. Yeah, so for me, I would like to see. Now, this is a bit of a wild one. It's a bit out there. I mean, do I think they're going to play these songs? Maybe not. Would I like to see them? So this is where the fantasy part of my set list comes in, because for me, I think the songs just really blend as well. I would like to see Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter. Why that song doesn't get more time on any of the set lists, I do not know. I mean, it's really grown on me. I think it's one of their top tracks. Really, really do. And it's got the crowd participation part in the middle of it, where he goes quiet. You know, yeah, I think for me, stick it in there. I think it keeps the tempo up. I don't see why not. I really don't. Alongside that, I've actually got another epic to throw in, which is one of my favourites. It's from the Brave New World album, and it is The Nomad. You'll see when I put all this set list together. You'll see how it all flows through, and see what you make of it. Stick around and see what you make of my set list. All right, and then tell us what you think in the comments. All right. So that's my couple of anomaly tracks. And then you're into the classics that they're going to play. What ones are they going to play? Fear of the Dark, I think it's featured on every single tour since, if not all of them. So it's probably in there. But let's just say, for instance, they do trade that out. That will free up a space for another classic, a different one. So what classics have you got? You've got Run to the Hills. You've got Fear of the Dark. You've got The Trooper, Hallowed Be Thy Name, The Evil That Men Do. What else have we got? The Number of the Beast, obviously. I think they are the main ones that are thought of as The Trooper. Did I say Trooper? They're the main ones that are thought of as classics. So out of those, maybe see half of those. Fear of the Dark, I feel like it's been done too much. They need to drop it. Let's see something else in there. The Number of the Beast. Now, controversial this might be, but for me, it's not my favourite of the classics. It doesn't feature in the top half of my favourite classics. It's okay, but again, it's been done to death to some extent. Personally, for me, Hallowed Be Thy Name is always a banger. Always a banger. Evil That Men Do, again, that is always a banger as well. For me, that does not get old. And then The Trooper, yeah, I know it's been done to death, but we'll throw that in because it's still a great classic, and I think that stands the test of time. And Run to the Hills, again, I think that song stands the test of time. So, okay, let's get down to set list time. Just imagine you're there. The lights go. Oh no, the lights are up. But Doctor comes on. Now I know they play the UFO version, but imagine they did the cover version they did with Blaze Bayley. I'd love to hear that feature as like the intro song. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. I'd love that. I reckon that would really get a lot of Iron Maiden fans going as well. There might be some that don't. Some of you probably don't like it, but yeah, maybe they should keep the UFO one. But for me, I'd like to hear the Blaze Maiden one. Anyway, so Lights Go Down. Caught Somewhere in Time comes on. Got some futuristic lights flashing about the place. Boom. The tour is off with a bang, and yeah, absolute classic. One of their sort of underrated classic songs, in my opinion, and yeah, a great way to start the gig. Fades out and then boom, hits you again with Days of Future Past. Nice quick upbeat for the rest of the song, more or less, basically. Doesn't really quit. You've got a little lull for the final couple of verses, and that's it. Boom. After that, I would go with a classic of Wasted Years, followed by Stranger in a Strange Land. So you've got two songs there with epic solos. Stranger in a Strange Land would just take the pace out of it a little bit, allow everyone a little bit of a chance, a little bit of respite. And then after that, I'm going to throw in my two wildcard deeper cuts. I'm putting in Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter. As I say, this one for me is an underrated song and needs a bit more playtime. And you've got the crowd interaction in the middle, and it picks up the pace again a little bit as well. I would follow that up with The Nomad, a little bit more, a slower paced song, but no less epic and no less quality. It really is an awesome song in my opinion, and for me it flows really nicely. It's a nice bridge of the old and the new. It just gives us a little bit of a journey through the time of their albums. A little bit, gives you a little bit of flavour. After that, I would throw in Heaven Can Wait. Again, so many bangers. This tour is going to be fantastic because there's just so many songs that the crowd are going to go wild for. Heaven Can Wait. Bizarrely, it's never used to be my favourite song, this one, but it's recently grown on me quite a bit. So, and I think they will put it in because it's tried and tested. They've played it a lot. They know it well. That'll be the tour. Then we can. So far, we've only had one song from Senjutsu, so I think they're going to then put in a few more Senjutsu songs. Going to have the Time Machine. It's got a reasonable pace to it, and it's not the longest either, so keeps the crowd energised. And then followed by Death of the Celts. I think this is going to be a Steve Harris favourite, absolute nailed down. So I can see that happening. After that, the gentle tones of Death of the Celts easing out. Bam! Going to hit you with Sea of Madness. Really elevate the energy levels again. Everyone's rocking, the crowd's going crazy. Yeah, that would fit brilliant, I think. And then I've got another wild card one for you. Hear me out. The Clairvoyant. I feel like it matches Sea of Madness for the way the song introduces itself. And it's also got the synth vibe to it as well, so you're keeping the whole synth sound a little bit. So I feel like that would be a good match for the tour. And I'll follow that up with The Evil That Men Do. Create a little mini Son of the Seventh Son. Two songs from that album together on the tour. And then we're already into the classics with The Evil That Men Do. But I would follow that up with another classic of Hallowed Be Thy Name. Doesn't get old. It's possibly their masterpiece, isn't it? I mean, what do you guys think? Is Hallowed Be Thy Name their best ever song? it's definitely in the conversation. Drop a comment, let us know what you think. And that for me ends the set before the encore kicks in. I know they're going to play. Obviously going to play Iron Maiden. So one of those songs is probably going to be left out. Well, I could be well out of my tour list, but I think this is a fantastic list. That's the end of it. They walked off. Thank you. Good night. Lights go down. The crowd are chanting Iron Maiden, Iron Maiden, Maiden. And then they're going to hit us with the intro to Alexander the Great. My son, the kingdom I leave for you is too small, or something like that. I forget the intro. I'm sorry, I've had too much wine, but yeah, Alexander the Great, 8 minutes? I'm sure it's 8 minutes. Epic. Everyone's waiting to hear it, and I think that'd be a great way to kick off the encore with that intro as well. I think it's just out of the darkness. That'd be perfect. And I'll hit you bam with the Trooper. Again, as I said before, absolute classic. Doesn't really get old. And I reckon Bruce can pull that off, even in the encore. So, and I would finish off with Run to the Hills, leave everyone just pumped, wanting more, but drained of all energy. And that for me would end off an absolutely epic Future Past tour. I mean, that takes us up to what, an hour and 44 minutes that would be, which is around about the length of time they'd be on stage for these days, I think. So yeah, I hope you like my suggestions. Let us know what you think. Where are you seeing them? Are you seeing them? What songs do you want to hear? Where do you think I've gone wrong with this? Am I a madman for wanting to bring your daughter to the slaughter in there? I want to hear where you're going. Anyone else in the UK? Seen them in the UK? 2 weeks to go, and then we're all going to know the set lists, aren't we? So anyway, till next time, up the irons. See you later.